Okay, I believe this is live. Alright, so we got the Speedybee Master 5 here, and we're going to be building this. I'm going to open it up here so you can see this and everything. And hopefully you can hear me. So, you might hear yourself twice here for a second because I want to make sure you can hear me. Open it up here so you can... Okay, you can hear me. That's a good thing. So, I've never done a live stream like this. And the reason why is because I've got so much stuff that I go through on building a drone. And I take breaks and everything. And one of them is I got 2 drawers full of drone parts, and I normally dig through those drones to build, dig through those parts to build a drone, but I got everything here right now, and hopefully we can get through this and build this drone. So let me pan you down just a little bit here. Because you don't need to see my face as much as you need to see the build going on. Alright, so here is all the pieces. And I bought the parts that go in the frame. I did not buy the frame. So the frame, Speedybee sent it to me, and I said, you know what, I'm not the type of person to just do a frame build and I really don't know how I would review a frame without using it. So we are going to build it, and you're going to see what I go through building a drone. Sometimes it takes me not too long, and sometimes it takes me forever, so hopefully this don't take forever, or we'll have to do this in a couple different parts. So I normally just lay out everything here, see what I got, and everything's got a name to it on this setup, which is very nice. I wish they would make a like a instruction manual like they used to do, but they don't do that anymore. And I figure they think well, these guys ain't gonna read it anyways, but I think that would be very useful to just kind of get a glance at it. But they do make a manual, and I'm on the site and on my computer right now. I have the manual pulled up, but none of it really shows how this thing's built. So that's not helpful. And maybe we can go to the frame here, and which I'm sure I can put it together and figure it out, but what I don't want to do is have to take it apart and put it back together if I do get something wrong. And so I got the frame right here. pulled up. So they do have schematics, it says. Alright, cool. I found it. That's awesome. Alright. So on this frame, we are putting everything that goes on this frame. So I bought this. This is the F405 stack. Mini F405 stack. And they say it can hold this, or it can hold the other one, the 30 by 30. This is the 20 by 20. And then we got the motors. These are 2006 1950 kV, and those are pretty big motors. And to give a comparison of this motor, we'll grab this. Let's see here. What's a good comparison of it? I've got a motor here. Here's a good comparison of this motor. It's a pretty big beefy motor here. This one right here is the 2006 1950 kV, and this one right here is a 2207 2050 kV. So them side to side, they almost look alike. They're pretty close. Let's see if I can zoom that in here or get it clear. But you can tell by looking at it, they're pretty close to the same. Or for a Cinewhoop motor, 3.5 inch, that's a big motor. In my opinion, that's a big motor. So let's continue on here, and I've got the Speedybee analog to go in it, and then you've got TPU TPU package with some wires in it. It looks like a USB in there. Then they gave me a strap, and here's all the nuts and bolts. Then they gave me a GoPro mount bolt. This is a battery plate, and then the front frame and the parts that go into the front frame for the camera. So let's see what we got to do to get this thing together. So they show installing the front mount first, which they don't show any of the bolts or anything, so hopefully we can figure that out somehow here. Cool, they got the packages labeled, so that's a good thing. And I probably could have watched a video on this and done my research, but I wanted you guys to experience what I go through, all of it, you know, every bit of it. So they even tell them how long to cut the wires. That's pretty cool. Alright, so I am going to say this is the camera head. For the head. Is this the head? Would you call that the head? You know, they have some weird terms for things overseas, like when you talk about soldering, they call it welding. Well, welding to me is having a stick welder or an arc welder. You know, welding is welding. I don't consider soldering as welding, but you know, got this part here says for the head also. So I got two things that say for the head. You got, they look pretty close. So it says for the head CNC and for the head camera mount. I don't know. We're going to go with this one. So if you're starting out building and everything, this screwdriver right here is really handy, and it's a DJI screwdriver. It's got the M3 on one side, and it's got the M1.5 or whatever on the other side. It's the most common screws you're going to use on drones. So we're going to build it with this screwdriver, and I'm turning it so this is going to be the top and this is going to be the bottom. So I'm pretty sure, but it shows installing this. They fit pretty tight. That's what I've noticed so far. Those bolts fit pretty tight, or screws. And I'm sure I could pull out a drill and make this a whole lot faster, but I'm going to do it like this. Alright, I'm going to leave this loose so I can adjust it. And they said, or it shows a bar in between, and I see a bar right here, and that looks pretty close. So I say this one's it. My nose is running today. So if you hear me sniffing, my nose is pouring like a waterfall. Alright. Here is the camera mount. Now I'm going to make those nice and tight. And that's going to line everything up. And then I'm going to go back and tighten the others. So let me look at this. No, I've done that upside down, so I'm not going to tighten the others. I'm just going to flip this around. No big deal. That's why we leave everything loose. So press nuts go up, and the camera mount, they've got holes that go up also. Which makes sense because these fit right in the grooves, or it looks like it fits right in the grooves. Man, does that press together like that? That doesn't seem right. Because if you look, it's a really tight spot And I just don't want to mess it up if I'm supposed to tighten it on down. I guess I'm supposed to though, because it looks exactly like the picture. That camera mount digs into the carbon fiber, so it's definitely on there secure. Alright, so that ain't going nowhere because that sucker is in there tight. My phone is blowing up for some reason. Okay. Continuing on. Alright, so what we got here is this is how it starts out. Now they want us to build this TPU set, so we're going to build that. I'm just going to dump it all out here. Alright, so here's the TPU set. Now I'm sure there's TPU screws for motor and T antenna for GPS, so I'll say that's part of it right there. This is for the AIO, which we didn't get an AIO. I don't know why they got AIO. Okay, there's the 20 by 20 stack, so that's going to be part of it. And this is for camera and motor. Alright. So this right here gets the pointed screws. So your GPS mount gets the pointed screws. I didn't get a GPS for it for that small. So I guess it's optional whether you want to put the GPS on it or not. It comes with a USB connector on that, which is very interesting. I've never seen USB connector in the tail of a drone. So we're going to go ahead and put that together because it looks like that's important. Well, we've got to have, I guess we'll do it like that. We've got to have that part on it. But anyways, what are these two? What's going on here? We got 3 parts here. I basically see this, and I don't see these other 2 here, but we know that this part here is going to fit in here, so I guess we can go ahead and do that. They've put this wire right in the way of mounting the antenna receiver in it. So we're going to put that to the side here. And unplug this. And I hope the one I got is long enough. But we're going to go ahead and install that in there. And I'm seeing here how I want to route that. Yeah, that looks good right there. So I got a lock washer on one side of this. Good grief. Alright. Pushing that in there. That wasn't too easy to get in there, but we got it in there. And I'm guessing this has to be routed with the wire. It's just a wild guess here. I'm going to leave it out for now, because it kind of puts it in a bind right there to have it going through. So we'll just leave that out for now. We got that installed. Let's continue on. So they got different types of USBs that you can install on this. They gave you 3 different types. You got a 90-degree USB, and then you got a mini USB, and then you got another C. So you have 3 different types here, and I'm guessing they're leaving you access to the flight controller, because this is probably a hint that you don't have much room to the flight controller. Alright, so let's move on. So it's talking about going ahead and installing the bottom plate. So this is actually your bottom plate here. And then, you know, I ain't never seen a frame like this. This is kind of weird. Which I guess all Cinewhoop frames are kind of weird. So your bottom plate gets mounted like that. And then this is your top plate. This is strange. Really strange. I mean, it looks cool, but I've never seen one built like that. So that goes like that. Huh. That's interesting. Really interesting. Master battery pad. Alright. You talking about somebody officially confused on how to do this. This is a little bit confusing, because they got the video transmitter being installed on the bottom plate. Alright, so they want your video transmitter first. And then this is really strange, because they show the video transmitter actually being installed on the bottom on one of them, and then they show the video transmitter being installed inside on the other. And they have this strap and this whole locking system that clearly did not come with this frame. So what they show is a cooling CNC part, a metal part that goes on the bottom of this frame, on the bottom of your bottom plate, and I don't have that. That is not included with this package. So you see me take it out of the box, so we're going to move on from that, and hopefully we can complete this without that piece. But in one configuration, they show this all done with the camera unit inside, which I'm suspecting that's what we're going to be doing here, is putting this on the inside. And then in another configuration, they show this having a camera unit on the bottom of it here, which I don't know why you would want your camera unit on the bottom, to be honest with you, because that's in a bad spot for a camera unit. It can be easily damaged right there. So we're going to do it on the inside. Now, another thing here is they don't really show on how this is supposed to go, but they show, let's get this plate out here. And you're seeing the struggles I'm going through, guys. This is not a regular frame so if you're expecting an easy build, this is not an easy build. So the next thing they show is this right here is your battery plate. And this battery plate actually goes like this, and almost like, surely not, surely they don't want your stack in between that right there. So we're taking another look at the drone itself. And this is interesting. This is really interesting. We might be building a frame, and they give me a 3D animated look on what they expect on the frame part of it, but they don't show. Okay, they don't show the other part of it. First of all, they have this strapping system for your camera unit to go on, and I do not have a strapping system. I don't have anything of the sort of what they show on the screen here, and it's just like a X strap, which I say I can 3D print that. So, and then after that, they show the stack being built on the bottom of this plate. So your stack is going to be upside down. So they want you to build your stack on here, and then when you build the stack, it's going to be flipped upside down like that. And then your battery plate goes in between that. And I'm scratching my head right now because I don't see the purpose of why you're having a battery plate like that. Is that all so you can get a strap in between there and don't have to get near? Because this looks like a strap. So we're gonna You guys are going to have to excuse me because this is not clear on how this thing is built. So now I'm looking at the drone itself, the actual drone itself. So nothing is in between this and this. I guess so. This is just for your strap alone. And they want your stack to be built on this, but not upside down. They want it to be built normal. So in Betaflight, you're going to be flipping this upside down, which is very interesting. I didn't think we would be putting a stack on upside down or right side up and making it upside down in Betaflight. You would think, I would think that you'd want to, if you're putting it upside down, you'd want to build it upside down. But then it makes all your wires exposed. This is really something different here. And let's see what all this stack comes with. Okay, cool. We got extra rubber grommet. We got plenty of extra stuff that comes with this stack. That's a good thing. That's a really good thing. So now I have to make the choice on if I want to follow what they do, which is put this stack in here upside down, or I guess you're gonna have to build it this way because you're gonna have to have access to all these UARTs on top. Alright, so here's the first thing I'm gonna do. They did not bring any protection. They did not send me any protection and between the ESC and the frame. The frame is conductive. So the first thing I'm going to do before mounting this stack is I'm going to protect my ESC. And what that means is if you are if you're flying this drone and something goes wrong and you have a jar, or if you have a stick or something goes in between this, it makes a connection between your ESC and your frame, you're going to have a short. And say it's something as simple as like you're adjusting your props or whatever and you don't notice and you accidentally drop a nut down in there or something like that. You know, a lot of things can happen to where you can drop a screw, especially being on the top like this. You could drop a screw down there and short this out. So I don't want to short this out. I want to eliminate any possible way to short this out. So, number one is insulating your frame. I got Kapton tape here, and I'm going to show you how good this tape is. This tape is really, really thin. And we're going to take I got a portable soldering iron. My soldering iron actually burned out the other day, my good one, so I've been using this portable one, and I think I'm getting a new soldering iron for Christmas, so we are going to use this one for now. And it works pretty great. You just gotta wait a minute for it to heat up. You got gas, and you pretty much just put gas in the bottom of it, like that. You just take a second for you to load it up with some gas. So I'm going to show you something special about this tape. Once this gets to heating temperature enough to melt solder, which is it's pretty quickly, you can make it even faster with a torch. So I'll just take a torch, a little lighter torch here, and I wanted to show you that I'm making this hot. I'm making this really hot. So this sucker should be flaming hot right now. Yeah, it melts solder. Alright, so if you take this tape, and we'll pull a piece out like this, and I just want to hold this soldering iron to this tape. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I'm holding this soldering iron to this tape like this. You see that? It's not melting. It's not melting the tape. So you can see it smoking, but this is really thin tape. It is not doing nothing to it. So this tape is really good. It's called Kapton tape. Now let me see if I can find some regular tape. I know I was going to dig in my junk drawer because I wanted to show you some regular electrical tape here, and yeah, it's a junk drawer. I know. Deal with it. Everybody's got one. If you don't, then you ain't dealing with enough crap. Enough drone crap. I build a lot, so I have a couple of junk drawers. So here we go. You're going to take, this is regular electrical tape right here. If I can find the end of it. Tells you how much I don't use this. So if you take regular electrical tape and you do the same thing. You ready? Here we go. I'm sticking it to it now. Look at that. Instantly. Now. We'll do the same thing with this. Sticking it to it now. Nothing. Look at that. Nothing. So, if this proves a point of what this tape is for, it's a super insulator. And it's just tape. Alright, so I think I've went on about that enough here of how important this tape is and why I use it. So I'm going to take the frame part that you're never going to see, and you're going to say, well, what about the heat? What about it holding in heat? Well, it's really thin. And I'm not worried about holding in heat with this really thin piece of tape. I'm worried more about protecting myself from anything going wrong. And that's what this is going to do. It's going to give me a comfort barrier. This is my comfort blanket right here. I'm going to make it nice and neat as I possibly can. Make sure it's on there nice and neat. My nose is just driving me nuts today. Alright. Put another layer. And you ain't gotta layer this stuff up a bunch, but it is nice to just make a single layer on your frame. This is called Kapton tape with a K. And I haven't noticed many people using it. I don't know why. But I have noticed it saving me from having to buy multiple parts. And it also saves my butt from, if something does go wrong with this ESC and something does go wrong with this build, and I'm having to call the company or email the company and say, hey, something has burned up on your ESC. The number one thing they normally say is, well, where did it short out to the frame? Well, my friend, we protected the frame from shorts, and I know for a fact it didn't short out to the frame, because it's one of the number one excuses, the number one thing that they say happens, or what they blame it on, is your frame shorting out. So I think they should do this. I think they should make the frame and then go ahead and install this tape, or give you some tape to install yourself. So this is a little secret sauce from Atreides. A little hint that you won't find anywhere else, or I haven't seen anybody else talk about this. So if you learned something from this long video here, you learned that you can protect yourself with a little bit of tape. And that electrical tape, all it's going to do, the normal electrical tape, it might create a barrier for you, but I think it's going to catch more junk and cause you more problems than helping you. And this stuff is easy to work with. And you can make it nice and neat on there with just a razor knife. It's not hard to cut. So if you look here, I've protected my whole frame. Pretty much the whole thing. I probably went a little bit overboard with the tape, but you know, I'd rather have a little too much than not enough. kind of like eating pie. If you got a nice baked pie in front of you, you want just a taste. You want to just taste that thing. Nice apple pie with cinnamon sugar on it. You just want a little spoonful. No. You want a nice slice on there. Alright, you've seen one of my little secret tricks here on building frames or building drones. And you can cut out all these if you want to, or you can leave it. It's not going to make that much of a difference. But now I know this is protected. I'm not worried about anything getting to my ESC or my flight controller. And you say, oh, what about it overheating now? What about that? You know, I'll tell you what. If that overheats because of a little bit of tape, then you got more problems than... Because I ain't never had one overheat because I've added tape to it. Ever. Especially because this stuff is thin. I mean, really thin. You're talking about millimeters thin. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but it's really thin. I think it's like 2 thou. That's point 0.002 of an inch. Alright, so we got that installed. And then I normally do it on my ESC also. So if I think that I'm going to get something in here, it's in a bad spot for stuff to actually happen. So that's why I'm leaving this layer of, you know, I got a couple air slots right here, and then I've got a layer, a barrier in between it. Now, where this CSC goes, I'm going to make a couple holes in the tape, and I'm just going to poke it through. It ain't no big deal. So it's going to go in this 4 inner ones right here. So I'm just going to make a little poke me a little hole right there. Alright. Now, 20 by 20 stack. Where are you at? There it says 4 20 by 20 stack. So we're going to use that one. Them bolts fit nice and snug in there. I like that part. There's not a lot of wiggle room. Alright. So that's pretty cool. You don't have to worry about them falling out of there. So before I install my stack, I've got this in hand, and what I like to do is I like to go ahead and get these pads, these motor pads and everything pretty close to soldered up, and I like to make sure everything is done before I start mounting this on here. So it's going to be on there like this. So you need to be mindful of where your battery wire is going to come out and everything. We'll see where they have it on here. Which is kind of strange. They don't show a battery wire except on the last picture, and they show it coming out in the back here. So they have this coming out the back like this. Alright. So do we want to come through this slot here and then come down? That's a pretty tight slot. I would hate to be in that slot right there and it pull and jerk and short out on that slot. So I might want to have mine going through this back here. And I don't see anything else that's going to bother. So that's how I'm going to do mine. Is I'm going to have mine going through like this. So we got to solder a capacitor on there also. So these capacitor leads are going to have to be trimmed also. You got one longer than the other. They always come like that. And you kind of want to put it in there and see where you want it at, how you like it. The one thing you want to be mindful of is your flight controller. You want to look and see if you got any plugs. If this is a plug and play flight controller, you want to make sure you don't have any plugs going to be blocked by this capacitor. You want to be able to move it out of the way a little bit so you can get to your UARTs also. So I'm going to leave a little bit of length on them, not much, but a little bit. So if I've got to move it, I can move it a little bit. So I got about a ½ inch on the capacitor leads. Go ahead and get my soldering iron, start it up, get it going.
The coils for the computer.
The computer?
Yeah, that laptop thing of the monitor.
It's not over here. There's a... You've got the plug underneath your... You talk about to the... From that to your
phone.
There's one in that box there. There's any cord will work. There's one in the bathroom. want to take some flux. And you want a dab of flux. And then you want to flux the outside here. We're going to start with the battery lead and the capacitor. So I normally do my capacitor first because it goes in these two little holes in the bottom here. Like that. And I just barely make them come out the other side. And I take just a little bit of flux and go over that. Now I'm going to take my solder. Now my pen is not getting good, getting enough solder in it, so I'm just going to take with my tip. So I'm just going to take my razor knife and go around it. Just like that. If you're ever having a problem with your solder sticking to your soldering iron, that's one good way to get it, have a fresh spot on it, is by taking your razor knife and going around it. If you're still having problems, you can dip it into the... There we go. Now we got it to go.
No signal.
And you just want enough to cover the pad, and you want to be quick about this. You don't want to hold it on there for a long time or anything like that. Plenty of flux.
No signal for.
There we go.
Why is it not working?
Any more than 3 seconds, you don't want to go past more than 3 seconds. Rest in between, starting to look good. You don't want to hold it to it for a long time. You want to let it rest, kind of let it cool off.
Why is it not working?
And then go to the sides here. So now you're going to go down each battery or each motor. And you're just going to touch it and get it on there. You're not going to leave it on there for any long periods of times. You just want to touch it and get it started.
It don't work with just any cold.
I don't care if it looks sloppy right now. We just want it to be on there. Just like that. Same with the other side. We'll apply flux to the other side. How's it going, Great Scott? Nice to see you on the stream. I like the name. Reminds me of Back to the Future. Great Scott. Alright, so now we're going to let it rest again. Don't ever want to don't want to ever get too hot. Now I got solder on the top here. They're all on the top of the pads. I don't have any on the bottom. It's not a big deal. Now you want to make sure you fill the ESC. Keep your fingers on the ESC, and you want to feel the heat coming through that. If you feel that and it starts to feel hot, just stop and give it a rest. All right. So normally these battery leads, they don't have enough solder on them. So I dip it in the solder. And I make sure everything has got solder on it before I start mounting it to the board. That way you got enough solder to mess with, and you can just join it together and not have to worry about the solder soaking up into the parts or soaking up into the wire. That's already done. And I gotta add some more gas to my soldering iron here. Yeah, I usually use a really hot iron. This one is not too hot, but it gets the job done. The reason why I like a really hot iron is because I can just touch it. Anytime you're spending more than 3 seconds touching that, it starts to get kind of scary because you're starting to get into the chip and make it too hot. So, and the battery leads is one of the main things that takes the most time. So some people have pins, or some people have clips, alligator clips that they mount and everything. I've always been somebody to do it off my knee or freehanded. you know. But I've done this for a long time. A lot of times you can hold on to something else, like I'm holding on to my capacitor here, and that's going to allow me to be able to hold on to it. So be mindful of which way your wire is going to go here. So don't be afraid to stick it back on there and look at it and see how everything fits. Some people like to mount everything and solder it. I like to do as much as I can without mounting it. That way I can just install it all. And what that does, reason why I like to solder as much as I can without mounting it is because sometimes you get little specks of solder. And those little specks of solder can mess everything up. And, you know, like over here, I got a solder blob over here. That little piece of solder right there can mess everything up. And we want to keep that from happening. Alright, so this wire is going to be mounted like this. So I can see the angle right here. It's going to be down a little bit from, so that's going to be the angle. It's going to be pointing down. So I don't want to solder it like this and then have to come around and have this big loop into my wire here. Right, now that I got the angle, I'm going to set everything at the same angle like this. You got your negative and positive on your board, so that's clearly stated. Same on your capacitor. Your negative has a stripe on it with a negative, with a minus sign. We're going to dip that into the flux, get plenty of flux on it. Get plenty of solder on our soldering iron. And I'm on the wire right now. We can get the pad too. We get my pad nice and there we go. We got a nice solder on my pad there. You don't have to be perfect. You just want enough on your pad right now to start. You can get perfection later. So I'm going to start getting this hot here. We'll work it down to my pad. Same with the other side. Alright, now I got everything close to where it needs to be. I'm going to take a little bit more flux. Now this is one of the things to where you need to really flux it up. And if you cut out of this video before and you see this part, we are going to wipe this flux off. That's going to be important. Is also making sure you get all the flux off that board with alcohol wipes. So don't leave the flux on there because it can cause problems later on. Alright, always make sure the tip of your soldering pin is nice and got solder on it. I am going to heat this sucker up a little bit hotter because I want this soldering gun to be really hot for this part. Now if you got a regular soldering pin, regular soldering iron that gets like 800 degrees Fahrenheit. You don't have to do this. Got that one. A little bit more on my soldering iron here. That was about 3 seconds each. Maybe, you know, I don't think it was longer than 3 seconds, but here we go. This is what it looks like when we're done with it. See if you can get a focus on that. You need to make sure you get a focus on that because I want you to see what it should look like when you get done with it. Well, if it would focus for me. Well, it won't focus here, but okay, you can kind of see it right there. Nice and shiny. You want it to be nice and shiny. If it looks dull, it's not done right. You need to take some more flux, put more flux on it, and heat that back up until. And don't be afraid to do one and take a break. And then what I do is I kind of like do a wiggle test. I want to make sure if I wiggle it like this, will it come off? If I can wiggle it like that and it not come off, we're good to go. So flux, plenty of flux. 3 seconds is the longest. Make sure your touch to the touch it's not hot. And do the wiggle test. Alright, we got that part done. Now we need to do motors, because that's the next thing that's going to go on the ESC is motors. So now I want to get my motor wire length, and the way I do this is first of all, see how I want to route these wires. Some people go around the inside of the ESC standoff. Some people go around and then mount it like that. I don't do that, and the reason why is if that wire gets pinched in between, you're going to have more problems. So how I do mine is we know this one's a pusher, so it's going to be going like this, which that's kind of nice that it's all right here in front of you like this. So you're pretty much building like a regular drone. So what I do is I line my holes up over here, and then I see how many fingers it takes to go in between them. I've got 3 fingers here. So I know that if I make it 3 fingers wide, that's going to give me plenty of wire to do it. So you can see here I'm a little bit over on where the motor goes. I got 3 fingers between the ESC and the motor. So that means I could take 3 fingers like this, hold my wire up. So I got the motor here, 3 fingers, hold my wire up, and then snip, gone. Now I know I got plenty of wire to mount that on there, and I don't have to be dilly-dallying around with a bunch of wire in the way. Now before I cut the next one, because this wire is useful on other builds and stuff like that, so I like to save as much wire as I possibly can. But before I do that, I go and look and see how much I actually need here. And what I want is I want the drone wire to actually be mounted straight up and down on the ESC. And I'll show you that. And I'm going to tell you why here in just a minute. But I'm looking at my wires and it looks like I need about a ½ inch off. So that's pretty close. We'll see if 2 fingers wouldn't be enough. So 3 fingers is enough. Kind of past my 3 fingers there. That's why I got too much. If you look here, kind of past my 3 fingers. So if I would have trimmed it in the right spot, we'd be fine. Yeah, I got it marked. I suck with using scissors in my left hand for some reason. And you might be saying, oh, why don't you use wire pliers? Well, scissors work just fine. Alright, now I'm going to look at my back motor. Make sure it's the same. And it's pretty close. And I'm going to show you why I'm doing this. While I'm actually making this one motor wire perfectly how I want it. And it looks for the front. It is pretty close. We're about a tad long. You don't know what a tad is? 1/8 of an inch? Alright. So about 1/8 of an inch long. I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. And I'm pushing the wire down in between the ESC right there. That's perfect right there. That's how I want it right there. Alright. So I'm going to take my other motor. And I'm going to make the wires exactly the same on the other motor. So just take the motors, you can hold them back to back like this, and put the wires in your hand like this, and kind of pull up until the other ones drop, and that's where you're going to cut it at. Or you can do the 3 fingers again. So either way, yeah, it's about the same. I kind of like the 3 fingers more than anything, so I'm going to continue doing that. Yeah, I really like doing it like that. Makes them pretty close too. So I'm going to cut all my motors like that. Alright, So now I got my 3 motors. Cut. I'm pretty happy with that. Now, I'm going to take the end of my motor wires, and I just use my fingernail. And if you ain't got fingernails, you could do it with a pair of pliers or whatever. But you just want a tad at the end there. And what I mean by a tad is like the end of your screwdriver here is how much wire you want to be hanging out on your small screwdriver. So you take the small screwdriver, you take the end, and that's pretty much the measurement of how far you want that wire to be out of the insulation. And then you dip that into the flux. Got some flux right here. And you just go on each wire. Hold there for a second. You'll see the flux bubble on the side of the wire. And that makes it nice and seated inside the wire. So now I've not only fluxed the tip of this wire, I've also fluxed down in here, which is what I want. And the reason why is whenever this is in flight, it's going to bend, and you don't want them wires to break eventually, or you don't want each single strand to actually come apart. So if you look here, if I bend that wire, that's how much flux is down in that wire. So I don't have to worry about these single strands popping off. See that? I bend this wire like that. That's how much flux is down in there. See if I can see that. Alright. Need some more gas. Shaky, shaky. Alright, we're going to look at this again. Make sure we're happy with the length. I am pretty happy. Alright. This one can use a little bit off of it. Just a little bit, not much. Look at this one. Line them up. Push your finger down there, you see that one's great. Look at this one. That one's great. That 3-finger rule turned out perfect. So now we're just going to take the insulation off all the wires here on the end of them. Speed this part up. Dip it in. Put solder on your tip. Wait a second. You'll see it bubble underneath on the insulation. So, you don't have to worry about the 3-second rule on your wires. You want them to be good and insulated. I mean, you want them to be good and soldered. Or as the Chinese people call it, welded. You want it to be welded. And if you want to know how long I done that, it was about 4 seconds. Okay, now when mounting this to the ESC, we are going to make our wires straight up and down on the side of the ESC like this. And the reason why is because whenever your wires are connected like this, for some reason on on your PID log, it actually gives you uh, a cleaner PID black box. So whenever you check your PID tuner and your PID logs and your black box, and you look at your noise from your motors to your gyros and everything, it comes out a whole lot cleaner for some reason when the wire is mounted this way than this way. And then another thing is you get a whole lot more power. And the reason why I know this is because I had a drone where I had all the wires mounted flat, and I was like, I'm sorry, I had all the motors mounted this way, but one of them was mounted flat. Well, that one that was mounted flat, when I went and looked at my black box logs, for some reason that motor was not getting enough, was topping out on the power before all the other motors. So I had 3 motors that had a whole lot more power to go, and I had the 4th motor that was mounted flat, that was soldered flat, that was maxed out. And I was like, why is it like that? You know? And then when I went back and then I soldered it straight up and down like the other one, all 4 motors were balanced in far as power going through them. And I was like, that I did not know that is why they put the groove on the side. And they want you to mount them like that, is because it actually makes a difference. So I don't know why. I don't know. I don't get it. But when black box information shows you a result and it's a positive result, you tend to go with it. So what we're going to do is flux the wire again. You don't have to have a crap load of flux in there. Just enough to cut the wire. And then, probably shouldn't be doing this with my fingers either. I should do it with a screwdriver. But then I'm going to flux. So I got both parts fluxed now. I'm going to take this number 1 motor. Actually, this would be number 4 if you're counting. So let's see here. I'm going to go farthest away from me to closest. Put a little bit of solder on the end of it. And I want this wire to kind of go in the side here. There we go. And I'll show you, if I can show you an up close, I will show you an up close of this. This is one of the things that's kind of hard to do at the same time and show you at the same time. But I can definitely show you the results. What you want to be looking for here. I've always been a person to hold it in my hand like this and do it. I don't know why. This seems a whole lot easier for me. I get it exactly where I want it like that. Oh yeah. Give it the wiggle test. So I've made this one a little bit too much straight up and down. And I know that because I'm going to have to install it on this frame. Yeah, I went from straight up and down to underneath it for some reason. I didn't mean to do that. We can fix it really fast though. And I guess that's why I don't like doing this one on camera, is because I'm really picky on how much stuff looks. I'm really picky about how my drones come together. Checking that one wire, see if I like it. It's a little too much. I'm gonna keep it on there this time. And so whenever you have it on the frame like this, grabbing a pair of tweezers is your best bet. But I got it straight up and down as possible here. It's not perfectly straight up and down, but so if you notice, it wasn't going on there, so I backed off of it, put some more flux on it. And I didn't keep on pressing it because it was not going. There we go. Now I made these flatter than I wanted. I don't have much room to even really negotiate here. So, it is what it is. But it does make a difference. You know now. It makes a difference for sure. Alright, so I got that on there. It fits nice and flat. I really hate this solder gun. It's definitely not what I'm used to using. Well, poodle shit. I hate this freaking solder gun. Alright, I'm gonna give it a rest. Give my fingers a rest. Give me a second. Chill out for a minute. Sometimes this shit's frustrating, I'll just let you know. That definitely was not working how I wanted to go. It was taking way too long for me. So I backed off of it for a second. It's always best to just give it a minute. If it ain't going like you want it, you don't want to keep pressing it and mess something up. You just want to give it a minute. Let everything cool down. This thing ain't really hot enough for my liking. I like my solder guns to be like really hot, and this thing is not really cutting it. But I'm going to continue with it. Alright, got that back off. I'm going to clean this up real quick. got this cleaned up. And I like building 5-inch drones more than anything because this little crap is not fun. Especially when you got big hands. Alright, going back at it again here. We got this part fluxed. Put some solder on the end here. I'm going to use my tweezers here. And this kind of shows, you know, the part of the hobby that's not always fun. Make sure none of the pads are touching. Alright, got them on there, that's fun. Let's give it a little rest. I'm touching the ESC here. And I know this probably ain't perfect. I do like mine to be more up and down, and they're not, but I'm just going to have to deal with that because we're limited on the amount of space. But as far as them being nice and shiny, they are nice and shiny. I don't see any of them that are dull. I did see some solder in between this pad here, so I'm just going to kind of rub it like that. Make sure they're not connecting at all. Because the last thing you want is two of them to be connected to each other here. There we go. I'm happy with that. Alright, I'm pretty happy with that. Now let's get this other side. Dip it in the flux. A little solder on your tip. I'm hoping this side goes a little bit smoother than the other side. Yes. Always keep solder on the tip here. Go away. Got that one. Now the end of my pen is not doing what I want it to do. Take my razor knife. Scrape it off with the razor knife. There we go. That's much better. There we go. It's not the prettiest because this thing is so tiny, but there we go right there. They are all shiny, and we got that part done. The ESC is done. So now what I'm going to do is take one of my alcohol pads here, and I'm going to really scrub this ESC down like that. Get the wires, get everything you could possibly get with this alcohol pad on both sides. The other side too. Flip your alcohol pad inside out and flip it over like that. Go over it one more time. Get the leads. Get the pads. Get both sides. Alright, that's done. Alright, your ESC is now done. Make sure you don't have any little solder balls on your frame. Visually inspect everything. Make sure you don't have any solder coming off this. Now we're going to put it together, starting with our lead inside there, and then get going on the 4 screws. We can start mounting our motors. So your motors come with a bunch of screws and a bunch of different sizes here. Turn off our soldering iron for now. You don't want to kill your soldering iron, so you want it to rest for a little bit. You know, I wonder, since I knew these motors were going on a pusher drone, why didn't they get them to make the lettering upside down on this? I don't know, it's just an idea. Now, an important part in mounting your motors, which you might be saying, oh, this is easy, just mount motors. Yeah, it's easy, but you want to make sure whenever you're mounting your motors that this screw is not too long and not too short. Too long means it would go in between the motor and the coil, or in between the mount and the coil. You don't want your screw going up in there and contacting the copper, because it could wear away the insulation and cause a short. You don't want it too short and it's stripping out the inside of that hole. So that's why they make different size screws here, is because if you're mounting these motors in something else and you get a thicker frame, they want to make sure you got the right kind of screws here. Another thing you want to be mindful of is you don't want any debris, like a metal screw, to be stuck to your motor. It will make it respond weird, and it could also short it out. On this build, we're going with the shorter screws. We're leaving the long ones out. Usually how I mount these motors is I'll put one in one corner and loosely put it in there, and then put one in the other corner. Then loosely put that one in there, and go ahead and start tightening them up. Once you get one in each corner, you can kind of snug them up. And some people just put one in each corner and don't worry about all four of them, but this is not a racer, and we're wanting nice cinematic footage from this thing, so I'm going to put all four of mine in there. Now some frames come with like motor wire covers. This did not. Dang, I was one short on the short ones, which I had another pack. I just didn't want to open another pack here. If I could just make this one crooked here, so my OCD is going to take over and make me flip it around. Oh no, I ain't what I done. I soldered a wire on wrong. No big deal. Hey Jeff, are you going to make anything to eat?
Nobody going to eat Mexican.
Yeah? Where at?
That's we always go to.
Margaritas? What time they close?
It's just,
Huh?
I'll look it up.
Alright, we'll fix these motor wires real quick.
Close at 10.
Close at 10. What time do you want to go?
I'll make sure you got finished. I don't know what time that will be.
This might have to be a two-part because how complicated this frame is.
6:30 or 7 again.
Because this is going, it's a little bit more complicated than a normal build. This is a nice portable solder to have out in the field. Is not nice to have on you. as far as using it to build with. Not too crazy about it to build with. So we got this one wrong here. And this one wrong here. I might as well make that one a little bit better too. And this is what I'm talking about. Why I don't do live streams of this is because I'm so freaking picky about how my stuff is that just because I got one mixed up doesn't mean I can go and do it in Betaflight, which I know I can. I can go and just make one reverse and make one normal in Betaflight, but I don't know, it don't sit with me right and I wouldn't be happy with it. Like this motor wire is too freaking long on this side. If I had a bunch of viewers watching, I could answer questions and stuff at the same time, but I don't, so. Dadgummit. Son of a gun. Tell you what. Working on these little drones is just not my cup of tea. I'd rather work on a big drone any day compared to this.
What the heck?
I made that one a little too tight. Oh well.
What is it?
I made one a little too tight.
Huh?
I made a wire too tight. And it's aggravating me. But I'm saying oh well about it. Screw it. Which I can always add on to it. Ain't no big deal. I need a better soldering iron. This thing is great for using on the fly.
Maybe saying I'll bring one.
Yeah. That'll work.
I need to do
This is alright. About over. You stupid freaking. It's not too bad. That was 10 foot long right there. All right. All right. That ain't perfect, but it'll work. Moving on. Flight controller arrow pointing that way. Mounting the flight controller down. what I do is I push it down with my finger, and then I just put my nut down. I don't want it super tight. I just want it enough to freaking hold it on there and not come off. Okay, flight controller's on there. It still has play to it. I normally install this wire before I put it all together, but we're going to just go ahead and do it now. That is the smallest wire I have seen for ESC. Well, it can only go one way, I guess. Alright, flight controller plug, make sure it's plugged in good. I like to take a flathead screwdriver, go on each side of this plug and press it, not too hard, just enough to see if it's plugged in all the way, because you don't want that coming loose. Make sure all your wires are nice and straight. There you go. Alright. So now, your video system. We're going to go on Speedybee, and you're going to look for the Speedybee chip that you're using. whatever flight controller you decide to use. That's what you're going to be looking up. So we got the Speedybee F405 Mini. So we're going to go to that. And I like to follow the UARTs that they tell you to use, because it helps you out later on down the road. This is a wireless flight controller. Alright, so I got the wiring diagram pulled up here. I've got that on the Speedybee site, and it's nice and blowed up so you can actually see what you're doing here. So we've got their unit. So we'll clean up here real quick. Okay. There it is. So we have their flight controller right here. I mean their air unit right here. And that's pretty funny because they've got a piece of tape over the pads in the back here. And we need to know what them pads are in the back. And it'd be nice if we have a wire, so I am going to look through my stuff and see if I have a wire. And it's a 4-wire. They did not come with a wire. I'm pretty sure this unit does come with a wire though.
Lay down.
So I am going to find that 4-wire in all my junk here, which I know I have somewhere. Here we go. There's a box of wires. Surely there's one in here.
Oh my God.
It's 4 wires, but it's in a 5-wire box. Here we go. There's 4 wires, but we're missing a wire. So that means we get to make one. You do that by holding this plug in one hand and teasing this connector up a little bit and pulling, and then the wire comes right out. Same with the other side. So now we got a 4-wire plug. There we go. Now, on the diagram here it says red, black, white, and yellow. I got red, black, yellow, and white. That's fine. I can deal with that. And wouldn't you know, they're all, well, no, we ain't all backwards. I was about to say, good grief, they're all backwards. Nope, they're right. Red, black. That's where it shows the plug. Oh, that's annoying. Well, why don't they show me that? So I'm gonna go and look at the Speedybee analog. What the hell was that? TX800 is what we got. Which they clearly show the soldering pin. But they don't show the wire that comes off of it. That doesn't make sense. Why would you show the soldering pin, but you wouldn't show the wire? You go to the manual also. You got a JST connector on here. That's this wire right here. On the site, they don't show the JST connector. They show the soldering diagram. You gotta love that. So, if you watch this Speedybee, maybe you want to update that to this plug and play wire to show which configuration that's in. I'm guessing it's the same on here. I would hope, because you got power out and 5. Okay, maybe this is to the camera itself. Maybe that's what that's for. So we got the camera here too, somewhere in this pile. There's the camera. No, it can't be to the camera itself. It's got to be because the board comes out the board, right? Yeah, it comes out the board. So they got that. That one's clear right there. That one's clear. We'll go ahead and start this up. But for some reason, this wire that goes to the board, to the flight controller, they don't have a wiring diagram. They don't show anywhere the colors of the wires or where they go or anything like that. They don't show it. So I am going to look it up. It's called the Speedybee TX800. Okay, luckily I have a picture on right here. And with it turned this way, we got yellow, green, black, and red. So they are all backwards here, which is just lovely. Let me see if I got another wire somewhere where I don't have to take all those out and switch them around, which is not really hard. But it would be more convenient if I didn't have to do that. And we got a little bit of everything in here, so just give it a quick look and see if I got the wire somewhere. There's another set of wires. Nope. Now you see why I don't live stream these. You get to dig through these. So this one right here, we've got that one's backwards. Also, so it looks like we're going to be trading them out. There's another wire. There's another wire. Hey, this might be the wire that goes to it. I believe it is. Okay. That's it. That's right there. We got it. Good deal. Found it. All right. Alright, on the corner of our pads here, this is on with the flight controller facing this way. They're showing the 5-volt goes to the middle 5-volt pad up here. And then VTX is right next to it, and then IRC is T1, which is down here, and then ground. They got the ground right beside the IRC. Alright, so we're going to take a little bit of flux, not much, just a little bit, and those 4 pads are right next to each other, and we're going to put a little bit of flux on those 4 pads. Then we're going to take our soldering iron, get it going again here. Because you want this, you want this solder to be directly on the end of this. There we go. You just want to touch these pads. And your flight controller is a little bit more fragile than your ESC, so you just want to touch them. You don't want anything crazy on it. So start with your furthest away wire. These are already soldered on the end here. That's a good thing. If they're not, go ahead and get you some solder started. The farthest away is my video. This VTX is going to be yellow. So I'm going to put yellow on the VTX. The next one closest to me is the 5 volt. So I'm going to put red on 5 volt. Farthest away on the bottom is ground. So I'm going to put black on ground. And then I'm going to put blue on T1, which means my video unit is going to be on UART1. And you want those to be nice and neat as possible. So this is going to mount on this other. So that's why this plug was important to me, is because I can unplug that now. And I can mount that on this board here. Now I'm going to do my camera real quick and see if my wires are long enough for my camera to be. And that's a tight fit for that camera. It is the camera that they call for. Them wires are just a little too short, it seems like to me. We will go ahead and loosen this up and find out for sure, because we want to be for sure on this. So remember, this is upside down, so you got to mount this camera upside down. It means the wires are going to be on top. And they are just going to be a tiny bit too short, because when I rotate this camera, they pull away from the pad. If you can see that, it's just a smidge too short. So that's why it's always best to have some extra wires laying around. And this is for a DJI, so we are going to massacre these wires here. I'm going to leave a little bit to tie in if I need, because I don't need that much. So if I need those plugs, I can tie in them plugs without having to undo the pins. And then also what's handy is having a bit of shrink wrap. So I got some shrink wrap here, and we're going to prep these real quick. Go ahead and mount these on. I'm sorry I got that in the way there, but all I'm doing is taking these wires and I'm matching them up and soldering them on. And you want to make sure you got a good connection there. Now, since I don't have blue, we use gray. Alright. We'll take some shrink wrap. Get the smallest that I can get. I got 4 wires. I'm going to take 2 of these and I'm going to cut 2 of these in half here. Seems like that one was smaller than the other one. I'm going to use the smallest ones I got here. Alright, cut them in half. And that's a good thing about this gun, this soldering iron, is you can just put it on there and heat it up through the little hole. Just like that. There you go. Now we got all 4 of them shrink wrapped. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take these wires and we're going to twist them around like this right here. Just twist them around. Make sure they're all nice and neat. And this is going to keep you from having a bunch of noise in between your camera feed. It's going to keep your camera feed a whole lot nicer. Alright, now since we have the shrink wrap out, we might as well, I don't want to see that bunch of colors. On my build. So what I'm going to do is feed that through. That was too small. I've got a roll of it around here somewhere, but this will be fine. This will work just fine. So now I've got one solid wire. That just makes it look nicer. We go through the frame here. That's what we got instead of a bunch of colored wires hanging out. We got one wire here. So I'm going to keep mine long. Pre-solder them. Try not to solder them together like I just did there. Alright. I'm going to read the diagram. Red, black, yellow, and blue or gray, whatever you call it. And that's going to be on the front here. So these 4 front pads on the left are going to be red, black, yellow, and blue. So I'm going to take and just put a light amount of flux on those 4 pads. Remember, you want to be fast with this part because flight controller is a whole lot more fragile than your ESC. No more than 3 seconds. Just touch it and move on. It's okay if you get more than one pad pre-soldered here. It's not going to hurt anything. You just don't want to solder them all. Like I just did. I am not having any luck with this freaking little solder gun. There we go. Let's clean them up. And the only thing I'm doing here is making sure they're not connected together. That's all I'm doing. This is some good solder though. This stuff freaking gets on there and stays on there. Alright, good. We ain't hot at all. Start with the farthest way, which is going to be blue or red. Yeah, blue. So I'm doing blue. Yellow. Black. And red. There we go. Now I'm just putting that wire on this side of the standoff because I'm freaking picky as well. So I'm leaving one side of this loose. I'm going to go ahead and mount my camera. I'm going to be using the yellow TPU mount. And however you decide you want to put your TPU in there is up to you. I don't think, yeah, they do have a preference. So if you look at it as a smiley face, it goes upside down. You got one side that's got a big slot, and then you got one side that's got a small slot. So the way I want my camera mount is I want my frame to protect the camera a little bit. They are the same size as your motor screws, so you can just pick up one of the extra motor screws and snug one of the small extra motor screws down on it. No reason to open another bag when you got a screw sitting there waiting on you. Alright, the camera is now on there. We have everything looking good. So let's mount our VTX onto here, and they give us little rubber grommets. We got extra ones on their stack here, and we need smaller ones, but it doesn't matter. We can use small ones or big ones. They're just gonna hold it up off the carbon. That's all I want it for. They make metal ones also, a metal camera mount, but it did not come with this frame. So we're just going to use what we got here. There's no reason to buy extra stuff when you got plenty of it right here. So I'm just going to push these yellow grommets inside the holes of the it makes it nice and neat, keeps your pads away from the carbon. Alright, that's on there. I'm going to take a small amount of Kapton tape. If you ever want to get a precise amount of tape, you just stick it on something and cut it. And I'm going to put over the pads that are not being used a small amount of Kapton tape. To prevent any mishaps from happening. So now we got on the bottom of that a little bit of tape. Alright, so we've got standoffs here, screws, we got bottom protective is what this is. Now, where's our frame? There's our frame. Let's see how this all goes together. So that goes on there like that. That's going to be pushed down on there, so this needs to be inside that. So this goes down there like that. And we need to mount this to this. Which we have some mounts here. It says for AIO. We don't have an AIO. We've already mounted the stack, so that means these are extra. And we're going to use those. So just line up your holes. Now this is going to be pretty sure like this. Yeah, so this is going to be this way. You want to line up this plug on the back. The long side goes on the back. So the plug is on the long side. And I'm just going to put one through. And strap it down. With a nut. This is where they show this fancy mount goes that they did not give you. So we're just going to use the rubber grommets. So I noticed something else here. They've got this board, and they've got a the rear TPU mount has. I'm guessing that's for the. What is that for? I have no clue what this plug is for right here. Unless it's supposed to go to a walk snail. It's the only thing I can think of that thing goes to is probably a walk snail. Because what else would you put it on? Is what I'm thinking here. And I'm also wondering what holds all this together. Because I've got this ready to go. It's ready to be mounted. How do they got this mounted together? I believe they showed me a graphic on that. Yes, they do show a graphic on this. And they're just showing the nuts being pushed in. So I'm thinking that these right here, these 4 pieces right here, gotta be it. And they, let's just drop down. Yep, they just drop down in there like this. One of them is short. That's weird. Maybe only 2. No, it shows all 3 of them. Oh, one of them sticks up. Okay, that's level. Alright. And then this one right here. The back. Does it push down in the TPU? Here, let me take that off real quick. Okay, you must push down with the TPU. I feel like you could probably mount these. What the hell? Damn. Well, as far as this being an easy build, it's not an easy build. It is a unique frame for sure. I like unique frames, but this one is not for beginners to put together for sure. If you are a beginner and you do get it together, then I have to say you're pretty good. Which I am going to get this together. It's just taking me a whole lot longer than I expected. And in a way, I could have just made a video and edited all this together, and you would not see everything I went through to get this frame together. But in another way, you kind of need to see what it takes sometimes to get some of this stuff together. Because it's not always as simple as it looks sometimes. And I say I'm doing this one pretty fast on how much information I was given to start with. And I was I'm trying to show everything on camera, but it's really hard, guys. I have built 5-inch frames. It's a whole lot easier than this. And some of this stuff just makes you want to say some curse words. I guess right here, damn it. Why in the heck? I see why they made a TPU mount for this, because you gotta have some room to wiggle this sucker on there. You know what I would have done? I would have made the stack way longer. The stack screws, I would have made them suckers way longer and just mounted this to the stack and have a 3-high stack rather than one piece on one frame and another piece on another frame. That's what I would have done. But they might have had a reason for this. I don't know. Sometimes you just want to talk to them guys and say, why are you doing it this way? Just give me a freaking reason why. And does it have to be done like that? And of course the answer is no. It doesn't have to be done exactly how they tell you to do it, but we try to keep it as close as possible here. You can only do so much though. And they send you a limited amount of parts that are not. So if you want the full thing, as far as the drone goes, it's probably best to just buy the freaking drone instead of building it. Because you're probably getting your money's worth of buying it. But guys, I'm going to have to go eat here soon, and I'm going to have to wrap this up before my wife comes in stream and just chokes me to death. The next thing you know, I'm going. So we got most of it together here, and I don't know if you found this informational or frustrating or as much as I did. I'm not used to building stuff like this. I'm just now getting into building smaller things. I have built a whole lot bigger drones. And I built this one the other day. It was pretty cool. We'll go ahead and show it to you here. It's a tiny trainer by 533. This thing is pretty neat. It's like a bright and shiny star. It will blind the racer that you're racing against. And that's the strategy here. You blind the racer and then set it down and race him, and hopefully he's blind and you can win. Alright, we've made our own strap. It's on there. So let's see what this sucker looks like being put together. And I believe you guys can get the rest yourself, to be honest, because you just screwed in a couple bolts. I do wonder a couple things on this frame though. Oh, okay. I was about to say, what in the world is that for? That makes sense now. Alright. I guess I could have made that wire a little bit longer for the camera. If anything, you can learn from the mistakes I've made on this one here, which it should still come out pretty good. Wow, wow, wow. That is a pain in the butt right there. To get that wire to go on there makes me wonder, why the crap did they not mount that some other way? I just want to get this one freaking wire in. Good grief. Oh my gosh. That is a pain in the ass. Even if it was strapped with TPU, it'd still be a pain in the mother freaking butt. I don't know. Got it. Finally. Right, this gets turned. Come on now. Like that. Why do I see something on here? Okay, okay. Alright, alright, okay. Okay. There. There it is. We got that on. Now it's all in these beveled bolts right here, isn't it? Yes, it is. if you watch this all the way through, I'm freaking surprised. And you're insane for watching me struggle. Through this. Because this was freaking something else. I'll tell you what. I like the way it looks. I like it's pretty cool and unique. I'm very interested on how this thing flies. But wow. Building this thing is on another level. It really is. Oh, you son of a gun. Look at you. What the heck are you doing right there? Huh? What the heck? Look at you. That is almost sabotage right there. Almost sabotage. Okay, thank goodness that freaking passed. Yeah, I dropped a screw. Oh well. Watch out, the motor wires get pinched in between there if you ain't careful. Alright, so we've got frame screws down. This sucker is looking like what it's supposed to look like. I mean, the only thing we got left now is mounting TPU on there for that, which that's not too bad. And we got to mount this battery plate on there, and then it's done. I mean, it's really pretty much done. You got your battery pad. You know, that's one cool thing is you can pick which way you want your battery to go on there. It can be on there toilet tank style, or it can be on there normal. So that's pretty neat. But guys, it's not been the greatest build I've ever done. But it's been a journey. For sure. For sure. That calls for, I'm sure I'm just overlooking them. Surely. Surely they didn't forget. Oh, there we go. More screws. Alright, I got a couple more screws and I'll be done, alright? You hear me? Yeah. I got a couple more screws and I'll be done. Just get it over with. Get it done with. So, one thing I'm wondering is these little fins. You got these little fins. Where the hell do they go? Oh. Where do they go? Okay. Oh, okay. So these little fins, they go on your motors right here, and they're for, like, if you got crossfire and you got a giant antenna, and then you got to hook up crossfire like that, and you got your giant antenna up there. So that's what that's for, is hooking up your giant antenna. And I know what you're going to say if you did watch this video. Where's your receiver wire? Oh, son of a gun, I forgot it. I'll tell you what. And we're just going to add one in there. I got one right there. Just add one in there. And you're not going to see it. Too bad. Too bad. So sad. Cry me a river. How you doing there? How you doing there? Kata. Kata. Oh, shit. I don't know about Let's Go. It's painstakingly freaking the Illuminati drone, huh? Pyramids. Got some pyramids on this thing. All-seeing eye. Look at that, the all-seeing eye. Is that what you're going to call this drone? Is the Illuminati drone? Great Scott, did you watch this whole thing, Great Scott? Good grief. Well, I'll tell you what, Great Scott. If you want a 3D print, you let me know. I'll send you one. I'll 3D print you something out. We got ornaments, like Avada ornaments for your Christmas tree. We've got camera cases. All kinds of stuff, man. Just for watching the whole freaking stream. I tell you what, my wife is sitting behind me saying, hurry the heck up. Let's go eat. You know what I'm saying? One more screw. I just got one more screw.
Yeah, you're 1 to my 10.
She's saying you got one more screw loose is what you got.
There it is.
What'd you do? What'd you do?
On this show. We got what they needed.
You got any drones, Gray Scott? Do I know you? So once you get those two screws in, you gotta loosen these two screws up so you can put it on the GoPro mount. And then the GoPro mount lines up with one of these frame screws right here because it's got a hole in it. And I bet you that's what this is for, because it makes it a longer screw. A few cheapos been watching all the developments for years, haven't got really fly true FPV yet. Well, if I can give you some advice, the other guy in the chat's named Carter, and he's been flying with me for 7 months. And I have been through a pile of them. I mean, a pile. Enough for your wife to choke you. But, the whole time he has been flying one drone. One drone. This whole freaking time. And I've been tempted to get it because, I mean, I've seen him run into poles. I've seen him run into trees. He was doing a power loop over an awning, and I knew for a fact it was broken. There's a couple times that I was like, it's finally broken. He's finally crashed it, and it's finally done for. And it come back freaking perfect. I'm not talking about, oh yeah, it's good enough to fix. No, I'm talking like perfect. Like, nothing wrong with it at all. The only thing we've changed on it is because the motors had a little rattle to them because we fly every freaking day, almost. The only thing that he changed on it was the motors, and he just put brand new motors on it, and they cost probably what, 80 bucks. So he spent an extra 80 bucks in the past 7 months. So what? The Nazgul V3, that's the one to get, is the Nazgul V3. I mean, if you want a drone that is like the Energizer Bunny and just keeps it going, keeps going and going, that is the one. That is the Toyota of drones. So you can take that for what you want. And I hate to say it, I won't mention any names, but somebody says Gep RC Mark V is their top drone, and I have to say that I bought one for $600 with a DJI air unit in it, and it had a bad motor to start with. It was dropping off on one side. I tried trimming it out, and when you fluctuated the motor, when you fluctuated the throttle, it would do this. And because I had a bad motor over here, And then I was going around a track and it veered off this way and ran into a pole and killed every chip on the drone. Luckily I got my money back for it, but the GEP RC Mark V is not my kind of a drone. Sorry, GEP RC, if you're watching this. I just tell it like it is. Look at that. Would you look at that? You just look at that. Would you look at that? Would you just look at that? Oh yeah. I bet you'd even look good with a pizza battery on there. Just look at that. You just look at that. There it is. It's done. We got some extra parts here. Oh well. They do not belong on this drone. They're just going to weigh them down a little bit more, and this thing is sound for now. We're going to go fly this thing. I am not going to give you any of my opinions on how it is, how it flies, how much. I am not theorizing nothing on this. I am going to tell you the truth, nothing but the truth. And I only got the frame for free, so I pretty much bought this drone because I paid for everything on this drone but the frame. So you're going to get an honest opinion of what this drone is, what it can do, and we'll see. We'll see what it can do. I really hope you liked what you seen here. Sorry it took so long, guys. I hope you liked the video and come back and see me. And nope, I am not testing nothing at the parking garage right now, Carter. I am going to eat Mexican with my wife because I like to live.
They don't get you every day.
If you got me every day, then that means no more valuable to her, and she's a little bit tougher than I am, and I don't want to end up dead. So, and look at these, man. Look at these. So you better watch out. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Hey, Great Scott, put down in the comments below. Well, you know what? If you go on Discord, and let's see here, and you add Atreides, Atradies. If you add me, we will come up with a 3D print and send it to you, and it'd be a custom 3D print just for you, Gray Scott. Alright guys, thank you for watching. We are out of here. Goodbye.